Hello and welcome to the course. This video is an introduction into Gaston College's Bio 161 class, the Intro to Human Biology, for the Spring 2019 semester. I'll be your instructor, Mr. Jason Moyer, and in this video we will go over how the course will be organized, how the course will be evaluated, and the materials that you need in order to complete your assignments. And even though the course is titled Intro to Human Biology, what the course really is an introduction to human anatomy and physiology. So we will cover a good amount of material in a short amount of time. So it's very important that you keep up to date with all the information. In the first part of this video, we will get into how the course looks when you log into Blackboard. One thing that is very important about the course, because this is an online course, you absolutely have to be able to access Blackboard. If you aren't sure where to go to do that, or if you aren't sure what your login or password is, please contact Technology Services on the main campus in Dallas. All of your assignments will be listed here in Blackboard, so you need to be able to access them in order to submit them. Alright, when you first log into the course, you will see this main page, and the main thing that you'll see is the announcements. Now, once this course goes live on Wednesday, January 9th, you will see the welcome message here. And then after that, every subsequent announcement will be put on top of that one. So all the course announcements will be kept here in chronological order. Right, over here, you'll see links to various things that you'll need for this course. Announcements, which brings you here, course information, faculty information, lecture notes, lecture videos, mastering A&P, discussion board. Now, mastering A&P is a critical part of this course. You must be able to access it. You must be able to navigate how that software works in order to submit almost all of your assignments except the very first one. So we'll spend some time going over this information toward the end of the video. Well, first we'll start with course information. And here's where you'll find links to the course syllabus, the course schedule, grading policy, participation policy, and also a summary of the information that you'll need regarding the textbook and information about mastering A&P. So the first thing we'll do here is we will go over the course syllabus. All right, what we have here is a standard format for all course syllabi at Gaston College for the Arts and Science Division. First off, the course name, Bio 161, and this is section D6B, and of course the spring 2019 semester. My name, Jason Moyer. Phone numbers and how to reach me. My office phone number at my office in Dallas here. Cell phone is here. Email moyer.jason@gaston.edu. My office location, I'm in the Roush building, Roush 216. And the preferred method I like to be contacted with is either an email or with text. If you have to text, go ahead and text this number here. Stopping by my office is no guarantee that I will be there. Calling my office and leaving a voicemail is probably not the best way to reach me either. But I do have my cell phone with me all the time. So emailing me or texting me will give you the fastest response if you have a question about the class or about the material in general. All right, course description. Like I said, it's a basic survey of human biology, basically human anatomy and physiology. And we will look at every single one of the body systems that we have. Now, like all course syllabus, this is a fairly long document. We won't go over every single part of it here in this video, but we will go over the key parts. But I do encourage you to read through the course syllabus, beyond what we cover here in this video, because you'll need to agree to the course syllabus, and it's basically a contract between you, the student, and me, the instructor. And by agreeing to these terms in the course syllabus, you are agreeing to follow the policies that are laid out in this document. Material that you need for the textbook is titled Essentials of Human Anatomy and Physiology, the 12th edition by Elaine Marieb. Then the online software that you need is Modified Mastering A&P from Pearson Higher Education. Technology requirements. Of course, this is an online class. You'll need reliable access to the internet, either at your job or at home, or relying on the resources at Gaston College, through our computer labs, for example. See, the college uses Office 365. If you need to download a copy of that, it is available for free to you as a student. So you can contact the Technology Services Office if that's something that you need. If you use a Chromebook, the Chrome operating system isn't really that reliable when it comes to Blackboard, so it's recommended that you do not use a Chromebook or the Chrome operating system. So it's much more preferred that you use a desktop computer or a laptop computer and not a tablet and not a phone. Alright, this point here is in bold for an important reason. Not having the software or not being able to run the software on your machine is not an excuse for not submitting work by the scheduled due dates. There are computer labs on all 3 campuses at Gaston College. You will know by the end of this video the full schedule of when assignments are due, so there's no excuse to not know when something is needed. And because this is an online class, the expectation is that you have access to the internet in order to submit your work. All right, part 2, the course details. Key thing about this section is the participation policy. All classes at Gaston College, you must be active at least 90% or more within the course. If you are not an active participant, the instructor has the right to withdraw you from the class. And in a class like this, especially, if you aren't active in the class, if you aren't keeping up with the material, you aren't going to do well anyway. And by being an active participant for this kind of class, what I mean is turning in an assignment, at least one assignment a week. All right, this point here is in bold and in red. The last day to withdraw from a class for the spring 2019 semester is April 9th. If you are on a class roster after that date, you must receive a grade, A, B, C, D, or F. If you withdraw before that date, you will get a W on your transcripts, W for withdrawal. But that W does not impact your GPA. Getting a bad grade certainly will. So if we get close to that point and you aren't sure whether or not you need to stick around in a class or whether or not you need to drop it, then please talk to me as soon as you can. And when it comes to the withdrawal process, you are expected to be the one to initiate that withdrawal process. You registered for the class, you should be able to withdraw from the class. Probably the biggest section of this part 2 is how the course will be graded. And the final grade will be evaluated by different categories of points. Now this first bullet point is very, very important. All online classes at Gaston College are required to have what's called an icebreaker assignment that is due within the first few days of the course. If you fail to turn in this icebreaker assignment, there's a very strong possibility that you will be removed from the course. So for this class, the assignment I've picked is a discussion board icebreaker, and you'll see that on Blackboard. That must be submitted by 11:59 p.m. by Sunday, January 13th. If you do not submit it at that point, you will not get credit for it. All right, the next few bullet points explain how the assignments are going to be scheduled. Every week, there are 2 days to keep in mind, Friday and Sunday. By Friday night of each week, you must submit a study module for that chapter that we're working on. So every week we'll have one chapter. But apart from that, the study modules will also be available to be reviewed all throughout the entire semester. So let's say if it's late in March and you want to go back and review something from chapter 2 that we did in January, that study module will still be there available, but the assignment will be due at a certain day and by a certain point. Alright, so those are the study modules. They're due by Fridays. You'll have a weekly quiz on that chapter that we're working on. They will be made available Friday mornings, and they are going to be due by Sunday nights at 11:59 p.m. So again, the 2 days you need to keep in mind for every single week. We do one chapter each week. Study modules are due by Friday nights. Quizzes are due by Sunday nights. And the key thing to remember about the quizzes, that due date and time, 11:59 p.m., doesn't mean that's when you need to start it. That means it has to be submitted by that time. After that time, the quiz will go away and you won't be able to access it anymore. If you're in the middle of taking the quiz and you reach that time, any question that has not been answered will get marked as incorrect. So make sure that you give yourself plenty of time to take these quizzes. Each quiz should take around 30 to 35 minutes or so. All right, and here's a breakdown of all the points available for the course. 13 chapter quizzes, 75 points each. 13 chapter study modules, 20 points each. Midterm and final exam. The discussion board icebreaker. And something called the General Education Outcome, or the GEO project. I'll announce more details on this when I make it available, probably toward the end of March. But that's an assignment that is required for this course. So in total, there are 2,000 points available. And the grading scale that's used is the same grading scale that all classes in the Arts and Science Division use. We use a 10-point grading scale. So an A is 90 to 100%, B is 80 to 89, and so on. All right, makeup policy. Because you have the full calendar of events within this video, on the very first day of class, there are no makeups for any missed assignment, for any unexcused absence. Just because you forgot to turn it in is not an excuse. Now, obviously, if there's an emergency, that's something totally different. If it's an excused absence, that's fine. If it's unexcused, then you cannot make those up, and then they'll go down as a 0. Also, there is no extra credit work available in the class. See the course outline and schedule. So we start with Chapter 1, the human body and orientation. Chapter 2, basic chemistry. Chapter 3, cells and tissues. 5, skeletal system. Chapter 6, muscular system. And then Chapter 7, nervous system. And at that point, we'll have our midterm exam. Our midterm will cover everything from Chapters 1 to 7. So everything that we've covered so far up to that point. Then after the midterm, we have Chapter 9, the endocrine system. Chapter 10, blood. Chapter 11, cardiovascular system. 13, respiratory system. 14, digestive system and body metabolism. 15, urinary system. And then 16, reproductive system. Then our final exam. And our final exam only covers material from the midterm on. So think of this as another midterm exam. So the final only covers from Chapter 9 to 16. And because this is an online course, there are certain rules that we have to follow on when we can make our final exams available. And the earliest time we can make our exams available is 4 p.m. on the last day of the class. So the final exam will be made available on Friday, May 3rd at 4 p.m. and it will be due on the following Monday, May 6th. This point here, where it says other important information, after you go through the syllabus and you agree to all the terms to it, you want to mark here where it says Mark Reviewed. This is the same thing as signing a signature page. So that's you agreeing to the terms within that course syllabus. All right, Part 3, Policies and Procedures and Best Practices. All right, as a student, you have some rights to expect from me, the instructor. So on the first day of class, the instructor will provide the student with a course syllabus that includes course objectives, grading policies, and classroom policies. That's what this video is doing. Assignments will be graded and returned within a timely manner. Whenever you have an assignment due, you'll have that score posted within 24 hours. As an instructor, I have some rights that I can expect from you, the student. 1, you will read the syllabus and ask for clarification if needed. And a good rule of thumb is, if you have a question about the course, check the syllabus first. Odds are very high that the answer that you need will be found either in the syllabus or in this video, or perhaps both. So always check the syllabus first. Then if you still aren't sure, then you can go ahead and contact me for clarification. The Student Persistence and Success Plan, or SPSP. As an instructor, we are here to help you do your best in our classes. So if something comes up within your life that may be preventing you from doing so, then contact us and let us know. There may be ways that we can help you. If that's an issue, either contact me or you can contact the Student Emergency Assistance Program phone number here. Student behavior policies. I don't anticipate this being an issue because we are an online class. But if for any reason a student becomes disruptive enough that it's preventing other students from learning, then I will have them removed from the class. I don't expect that to ever happen in this class, but that is always an option that I have if I need to use it. See, academic dishonesty. Cheating is not tolerated at Gaston College. Not only will you be kicked out of the course, you'll be kicked out of the college. So if you plan to go on to a formal program further on in your education, you won't be able to get into any of those if you've been branded a cheater and kicked out of a class. So it really is not worth it to even try to cheat. And there are some various forms of cheating here: plagiarism, fabrication, falsification, being complicit in dishonesty. So make sure that you are familiar with what all these mean so that you don't do them. If you have concerns about the course or about me or perhaps both, if you want to contact my bosses, the chair of the Arts and Science Division, Dr. Armstrong, that's her office location, her phone number, her email. And then her boss, the dean of the Arts and Science Division, Ms. Broom, her office location, her phone number, and her email. Let's see, next, the ADA statement. If you think you have a need for an accommodation in the class, I can't just take your word for it. I need to have some paperwork from the school approving any type of accommodation. So if you think that may be a possibility for you, you're encouraged to contact the special needs counselors at this phone number. All right, so again, we didn't cover every single thing in this document. I wanted to go over the major points, like how the course will be graded, and so on, and the ways to contact me. But do take the time to read through the rest of the syllabus, and if you have any questions, please ask. All right, so that covers the syllabus. The course schedule. This lists every single assignment that is due for this course between the very first day of class to the very end of the class. So even though it's the first week of class, there are 3 assignments that are due by Sunday night. We have the discussion board icebreaker, which I mentioned before, the Chapter 1 study module, and the Chapter 1 quiz. Now normally the study modules are due by Fridays, but with our semester starting on a Wednesday, I wanted to give you more time to get access to the software that you need, make sure that you're able to get everything working properly. So I extended that deadline back 2 days. So again, every date is here, every time is here for every single assignment. No excuse to not know when something is due, and you'll see the schedule again when we get to Mastering A&P. All right, grading policy and participation policies. These are taken right from the course syllabus, but they're more isolated with their own document. But the text is exactly the same as you saw in the syllabus, and the same is true for the participation policy. Again, verbatim, right from the course syllabus. So if you have any questions about either one, they have their own separate document. And if you have questions on getting started with Mastering A&P, you can look at this handout here. All right, next we'll go on to faculty information. This contact information is exactly the same from the course syllabus. My email, my phone number is here, office location. The office hours that I should generally be in my office, basically 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Roush 216, and a little bit of background on me, and then my picture here. All right, next we'll go on to lecture notes. These will be in groupings of either 2 or 3 chapters at a time. So right now you have the first 3 chapters, their lecture notes are available, and they're always going to be in a PowerPoint format, and they're broken down by individual chapter. So you can see Chapter 1's notes already here. See the learning outcomes for each chapter, basically what you should be able to do by the time you're done with that chapter, and every chapter has their own unique learning outcomes. Now, in addition to these lecture notes here, what I've also done is this, lecture videos. And this will be broken up in the same way that the lecture notes were. But what these are links to my YouTube channel that will have these notes covered in a lecture format. So the same way I would teach it if I were giving a lecture in front of a seated class. Because for some people, I know it's a lot easier to follow if they have it explained to them in a lecture format. If you're fine with just reading the PowerPoint notes, that's fine too. Whatever way works best for you. But I do have videos for all the chapters that we'll cover, and I'll make those links available as we get to them. So the link for Chapter 1's lecture here, Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, those are all available currently. All right, we'll come back to Mastering A&P here in a second, because that's such a main component of the course. We'll go on to discussion board. But here is where you'll put your discussion board icebreaker. And what I mean by icebreaker, I don't need an essay of 1,000 words. Basically just introducing yourself to the class, why you're taking the course, any concerns you may have about the class, or anything else in general that you'd like to share. So just 2 or 3 sentences about you, and that will count as your icebreaker posting assignment. If you have general questions about the class, you can post them here. And then after that, every chapter has their own individual thread. And I'll be checking the discussion board several times a day, especially in the very beginning of the course. Because if you have a question about the class, odds are that someone else in the class has the same one also. All right, so now we'll go on to where you're going to spend most of your time in this class. That's the software called Mastering A&P. Now when you click on this link, you'll see these ones here. We'll go with the course home first. So when you go there, you'll see something that's similar to this. Now mine looks a little bit different than yours because I'm the instructor, but it's the same basic format. Now what I have here is the assignments. Now there are two ways to look at this: in a calendar view like this, or in a list view here. We'll cover the calendar view first. Everything here is going to be color coordinated. All of the study modules are in this, I guess, a salmon color here. If you hover over each one, it tells you if it's available or not. It tells you when it is due by. All the quizzes are going to be in a light Carolina blue color. Like for example, this chapter 1 quiz. It's not available yet, but tells you when it will be available. It'll be available on the 11th at 12:01 a.m. and due by the 13th, just before midnight. So again, every Fridays are the study modules, and then Sundays are when the quizzes are due. Now this one here, it says an introduction. It's listed as an assignment. It's not really an assignment. It's really a tutorial on how to use Mastering A&P. So if you aren't familiar with the software, definitely do the introduction. It's just practice. Aren't going to be penalized if you don't do it, but it will help you get accustomed to how the software works. Now that's everything in a calendar view. If you prefer it in a list view up here, it's the same information. All the study modules are listed first. It tells you when they're due by, how they're always available. And getting further down, all the quizzes, when they're available and when they're due by, and then final exam, geo, and then the midterm. So make sure that you're able to get into Mastering A&P, because every assignment in this class, except for the very first one, that discussion board icebreaker, will be submitted through Mastering A&P. This link here, Pearson eText, all that is an electronic version of your physical textbook. Some people may prefer to have the electronic version. Some people may want both, but it's exactly the same information, just in electronic form. All right, the study area. This has a really good resource of practice materials for each chapter. You can break it down by chapter. There are various practice quizzes you can take. There are reading quizzes, there are flashcards, there are animations. There's a huge list of materials here that help you get through the material. So definitely take a look at the study area. Now, because Mastering A&P is such an important part of this course, there are always some issues that tend to come up when it comes to accessing the software. I'd like to go ahead and address those common issues here right now. All right, first of all, Mastering A&P is required for this course. Now, every study module is done through Mastering A&P. Every chapter quiz is done through Mastering A&P. Your midterm and your final are all based from Mastering A&P. So you must have an access, or you must be able to log in and use that software correctly. Because if you don't, you're not going to do well in the course. Secondly, you will need an access code to log in and to use Mastering A&P. Now, students fall into one of three categories typically when it comes to this software. One, you bought a brand new textbook from the bookstore on campus and it has the access code with it. Or you bought a new textbook from the bookstore and it doesn't have the access code. Or three, you have either rented the book or you bought the book from someplace other than our bookstore. Kindle, Amazon, so on. So we'll go over what you need to do in each of these situations. Alright, first, if you bought the new textbook from our bookstore and it has access code, then you are fine. You don't need to do anything. Just make sure that you're able to log in to Mastering A&P, but you log in from Blackboard. Do not go through the publisher's website. Log in from Blackboard, because all you need is the access code that's given to you within the book. If you don't log in from Blackboard directly, I won't see that you have completed the work. And if I don't see that you've done it, then I'm going to assume that you didn't, and you'll get a 0. Alright, second, this is the one that's the most involved. If you bought a brand new textbook from the bookstore and it doesn't have the access code, you can return it for one that does have the code. But you must have the receipt in order to exchange the books, because you cannot exchange the books without one. If you bought the book using your financial aid, your receipt can be looked up through a database, even if you don't have your paper receipt. Make sure that when you're getting the new book, that it says Modified Mastering A&P. If it doesn't have the word modified in it, then you're getting something different. So you must be using Modified Mastering A&P. If you don't have the receipt, then you must buy an access code from the publisher directly. There's no way I can get around that. But if you use financial aid to buy it, your receipt can be looked up. But if you pay it out of pocket, or if you can't find a receipt, you have to purchase it from the publisher directly. And scenario number 3, you either rented the book or you bought it from somewhere else other than the Gaston College bookstore, then you must buy the access code from the publisher. And there are 2 formats you can buy it in. One comes with an electronic textbook, and one doesn't. It depends on what you want. The one that has a textbook is a little more expensive than the one that doesn't, but of course you're getting more information and more resources. Alright, that should cover most of the information that you need for this course. So again, all the links that you need are going to be right here. A few reminders: even though it's the first week of class, you have 3 assignments due by Sunday night: the study module, the icebreaker, discussion board posting, and the quiz. And again, do not wait until Sunday night to do all those. Make sure you give yourself enough time that you're able to access Blackboard, that you're able to access Mastering A&P. Make sure you're able to do those. And again, if you have any questions throughout the course, not just with this video or the beginning of the course, but anytime throughout the course, anytime throughout the semester, if you have a question, feel free to email me or to text me. Thank you for watching. Good luck this semester.